Hi, everybody. I just feel really passionate about sharing kind of the diary of this divine embodiment that's occurring for me and probably, many others at this time. Um, I want to talk about a little bit about the biophysical, spiritual, energetic changes that happen as we begin to embody a new creational blueprint. So this isn't just a movement from one level of existence inside the old blueprint to another level, like a staircase. I should mirror my video because it's like disorienting where my hand is. But like we're not going up like a level within the same system. And I would probably want to go this way. We're not going up a level in the same system. We're actually opening our bodies to draw down and implant an entirely new creational blueprint. So it is a radical shift. Check out these buttons. It's like, okay, can I button them straight across? Yes. Uh, this sweater is kind of like a plain Jane sweater. And here's a more, this is way more like my personality. Purple with flowers. So I'm going to like drape this over me so I don't feel disoriented by there we go. Now, yeah, feeling groovy. So the diamond sun body, which that's our next evolutionary template, right? It is our human angelic prototype that we originally came with before we entered this great experiment of duality, right? And we are returning to this through all the chaos, through all the intense polarity, through the tyrannizing negative ego that we see in our government and in governments around the world with all and in the United States. We are ground zero for this birth, and we are seeing things like ICE. We are seeing Trump gone mad. We are seeing just insanity. And chaos is what occurs before a huge birth. Chaos is the sign that the birth is happening and everybody's playing a role. Everyone, right? Even the ones that we would think are the enemies are part of this great alchemy. They're part of this great story. And so, but anyway, I digress a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get myself into full screen. Is that full screen? Well, it doesn't really matter. So we are, I'm going to just speak personally. For me, in this human body template, what's happening, and this is standardized for everyone who goes through this evolution, right? Is that we are the ignition point of this kind of new template, which has new geometries. It has new elements in the periodic table. It functions under different laws than our carbon-based matrix. This crystalline-based matrix is an entirely new animal. And as it initiates, what happens is in the third chakra, which is called the Ra center, RA, it's connected to the Ra, the family of Ra. And you may have heard of the law of one. David Wilcock talks a lot about the law of one, the Ra beings, the golden beings. So this solar plexus is meant to be a raw sun, just like exploding from the center. And that becomes the initiation. You could call it the engine of creation that has all the seed codes for this diamond sun body to fully blossom. And so this might sound really radical and weird, but I think part of my sanity going through this is to be able to serve humanity in some way, right? And share the journey of going through this and then help others to to build out this diamond sun body with a coach who knows what it is, what it feels like, right? So I'm doing this now so I can be that coach when this embodiment starts going viral. That's a funny way to put it. But so yes. So if you are the one of the progenitors in the first wave and you're starting to path cut this new whole new template, I'm sharing that with you. So what starts to happen is the the polarity. You can imagine polarity, right? Polarity of electromagnetic, polarity of us and them, polarity, judgment, separation. All of this is created by polarity. What happens when you're coming into this procession, into this new template, is the entire duality matrix begins to implode more and more in on itself. And the pressure as it implodes is quite large. And what happens is you feel like you're unwinding a spiral to get down to the pre-form world before the creation of duality. I know this sounds wild, but I I don't know how to explain it. It's like we've built this within this 3D reality matrix of fear-based, mind-controlled, right? The cognitive mind being like the tyrannizer over the whole rest of the body, spirit system, heart system. And this fear-based reality, as as we begin to unwind this tower that the mind built, you could, this whole paradigm, you could call it a tower that the fear-based, greedy, externally focused, and it's only greedy because of the trauma of not having the divine mother, not having the divine father, right? We start out in this great insufficiency of a traumatized blueprint. And so we begin seeking in the external world, right? For our survival, for pursuing happiness, but more really a desperation because we don't have the core connection to what we truly belong to. So we start running around down here, pillaging and raping and torturing and all the things, all the abuses of power that happen when you are externally focused on siphoning energy from the outside, right? And as we live those lives, we build a pillar of the false self, you might say, right? We build this spiral of creation that's compensating for fear based insufficiency. And it's a spiral. We build it all the way up to the top. Well, now, when you're going to be bringing in this new creational blueprint for our true evolution, you have to fall all the way down through this spiral. It has to be undone back to total humility, laying on the ground saying, I know nothing, I control nothing, I am nothing. That's when you're open to the new template, right? You're literally decimated at the egoic level. And I've been going through ego death for 42 years pretty much. And finally, I've gone through enough that that I was able to unwind the entire spiral yesterday morning, which is super exciting because when you unwind the entire spiral, you're available to be seated by the new code, right? This is really amazing. So the ego surrender is actually, it is totally necessary. Ego death, ego surrender is totally necessary for to be available for the new breath of this divine template to infuse us. We have to be on the ground at ground zero of the sense of knowing what we're doing, of the sense of having mastery over anything. We literally have to be brought to bone dust. That's when we can be built from this, like the ground up, the constituents of matter are seeding this completely pristine void space, right? I saw it in my dream in 1985. I saw it as this field, this fecundity of fertility, of this totally receptive field that's waiting to be seeded by the divine. So I think it was Eckhart Tolle or Ram Dass that said, enlightenment is the ego's greatest disappointment, which is a beautiful, that's absolutely the statement, because the false self has to be reduced to ashes, literally, to be able to, that false self has to be brought to a place where it can be consumed by the void, right? Literally consumed by the void and be like, okay, all right. Like I've never taken ayahuasca, but some of these huge, psychedelic experiences of psychoactive plants and even 5-MeO, synthetically created mind altering drugs, they do this, right? They just decimate the ego and put us in unitive consciousness. And that's kind of a drastic and dramatic way to go. I I think I have too much fear to go in that direction. I've had to go step by step through um, dismantling of my agendas in this reality to arrive at a place where I really know that I can throw out my arms and say, I have no idea what the plan is. I have no idea. Use me, God. Animate me to your use because I don't know. That's the perfect place. That's the place you actually want to be in, because in that place you have no agenda that's going to block this absolute void space that you need to be in for the newness to begin informing your body from the quark, the tiniest constituent of matter. Because this new template is such a radically different animal, the agenda of the old mind cannot have any hold in there. So this is really a big part of it, is surrendering to the void. Just going to take a moment. Let's just take a moment to breathe that in. That sense of surrendering to the void is our absolute ally. This is the place that where we're receptive to this brand new template. If it weren't such a radically new matrix, we wouldn't have to surrender to the void. We could just, oh yeah, okay, add these few things to the recipe. But we're not adding to a pre-existing recipe. We're decimating everything in the old template to be able to be reborn into totally new instruction sets, right? So here we are. So let's just breathe in for a moment. Imagine just being reduced to the prima materia of a field, a beautiful, fertile field. Everything of the old has burned up in the fire of the composting of the divine light that has come as an ally to burn away everything that would keep us from unity. Everything that would prevent us from being resurrected by this beautiful divine template of our origins. Let's take a few breaths. Let's put our hand on the solar plexus, because that's where everything's being born, right here in the solar plexus. If you put your pinky on the belly button and your thumb between the rib cage, this is the area for the birth. This is where it's all happening. And so you just breathe in there. Whew. Welcome to whoever is here with me. Just taking a nice deep breath. Frank is washing dishes. Thank you, honey. Taking a nice deep breath. Another way you can get to this origin field of formlessness or 0 point is to follow the breath. Follow the out breath all the way down until you can get to an inception point below the breath, all the way down, where there's total quietude before the next breath begins. And then observe the breath taking itself in. Let the breath breathe you. Now, this is very difficult in a lot of ways because most of us are born with certain traumas around that breath inception point. It seems to be an almost universal challenge. But if we can sink down after we exhale, and drop into the 0 point of formlessness, absolute formlessness, and witness the breath arising from out of the no thing, out of the no time, no space, nothing, just a sea of formlessness. And then we witness the breath rising out of that 0 point. So that's what we want. That's our connection to the alignment, which allows the receptivity to be informed by this something completely new, which is the diamond sun body template. Now, we did have this body once before, but this body was designed by God and just given to us. Now we're reclaiming and recovering this body from out of a carbon-based, fallen separation consciousness template, right? And that's why it feels like death. I woke up this morning and I thought, this is death. I'm going to die. I can't do this. And you can, and we will. You just have to tell the body it's extreme change, but it's not death. I can't say that for everyone. Some people will really bring in the diamond sun body through near death experiences. That will be the way that they do it. But many of us will experience going through these changes in our normal consciousness, from a state of normal consciousness. All right, I think that's all I will talk about right now. If you are currently path cutting this diamond sun body and you find yourself needing support, please reach out. Right? That's one of my reasons for being. One of my main purposes for being here is to guide people through this embodiment process as I go through it with them. All right, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Many blessings to everyone on this journey. Many blessings to everyone on this earth playing a role in this incredible birth. Okay, bye for now.